So welcome to a VSA Capital webinar for a private company called Kaelo, which has got a revolutionary bottle holding facility that allows you to keep it chilled or the right ambient temperature. I think to call it an electronic ice bucket would be wrong. I think Dave Yearsley, the CEO, will explain that to us soon. It's as big a change really as taking the Hoover to a Dyson. And that's the thought that we want you to have in your head, that this actually is a revolutionary piece of equipment that actually could spread very, very rapidly. But on that note, Dave, over to you. Do explain what it is you've got.
Thank you, Andrew. Okay, so what I'd like to do is just talk you through a few slides just to explain the opportunity that we see with Kaelo at this early stage of our accelerated growth process. So we're in a situation where we have looking for funds. We have EIS approval for this stage of investment. So welcome to Kaelo. Kaelo is a new and very unique product. Initially, we're focused around the entertainment space in the kitchen. However, as I talk you through, you'll see the evolution opportunity and the acceleration we can then take it into new markets with the core technology that Kevin has created offers so much more opportunity for us as a business. And talking of the structure of the business, I think what's really important, Kevin, as the founder and creator of Kaelo, you know, his skill is bringing new ideas to market. And he realized early on in the process, sort of towards the end of 19, just before COVID, that market was really starting to get acceptance of Kaelo, but he needed the right team in place to really take it to the full potential that it has. He approached Sir Richard Needham, who has vast experience in consumer products, especially Dyson. He started the journey with James Dyson and took it global and worked on the board for 16 years. Sir Richard's first impression of Kaelo was, wow, this has got some real potential. And he then said, yes, would love to join as the chairman. He approached me. My experience is over 25 years in the consumer world. Give you an idea, I spent 23 years with Brita. When I started with Brita, the turnover globally was under 30 million. When I left 23 years later, we were turning over 350 million. And I was part of the senior team that developed new product categories, and one of those being the new route that we took into the kitchen market. So I bring a lot of experience. I then worked at Haier, the biggest global Chinese appliance brand, and I created a new positioning as MD in the UK market, where they're now well established in the premium end. Then we have Neil, who was instrumental in supporting Cooker create their new category with the hot tap, and he's now been on board, really driving the sales operation. And then a key member of the team that's only recently joined, Neil Edwards, will be fundamental in supporting Kevin and I to drive the product roadmap. He has huge experience of taking Dyson globally from a manufacturing point of view, but he's also worked for Jaguar, Rolls-Royce, and other major brands in developing and manufacturing. So we have the right team to take Kaelo forward. But what is the initial product? So Kaelo is an open bottle host. It keeps drinks chilled and every sip at the perfect temperature. And what's really exciting for us is the way that the product has been developed by Kevin. But we're not only seeing this used as an evening entertainment, families are now using this from AM to PM. So it's at the heart of the entertainment space in the kitchen, which is really exciting for us. Kevin and the team, before I joined, had already established, working with contacts through Sir Richard, of establishing 3 patents on a global basis. We've already received granted patents in the UK and China, and we're just waiting on the other markets. During the 7 months since I've joined, with the new innovation that we're taking forward as part of this investment round, we've also registered in November additional elements, which we believe will strengthen our IP protection and add value even more to the current product. And we're also pursuing trademarks globally and design rights related to the way Kevin has created the product. So building a lot of protection and value through IP. I wanted to include this slide for you because it just sort of gives you the perspective of what the potential is for Kaelo. Cooker the hot tap was established sort of over 10 years ago. And I remember, because I was in the market then working for Brita, and people were just saying, why do I need a hot tap? You know, I've got a kettle. Why do I need it? And here we are, the UK, 10 years later, is 40 million selling in just in the kitchen environment. And Kaelo can be in so many more markets than just the kitchen. So we see this as a great case study, but we also see the huge additional potential that Kaelo does offer for the future. So with limited funds, we've realized in the last 12 months, strong sales growth. We very much are building our plan around the UK. We want the home market to be a standalone profit center to really drive the business globally. We've already reached 240 dealers that have product in display, they are training, and they are actively selling Kaelo now to consumers. We already have 4 distributors that are launching it in the next sort of period of time that are very excited to have Kaelo as part of their portfolio. We have a great partnership in the US and Canada, which could be fundamental in our strategic global distribution. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in the presentation later on. And also, we now have breakthrough in the marine market, working with the biggest partner in IWM, who have over 70% of the refrigeration market and supplying into the marine category. What about our customers? Our consumers and customers are giving us great feedback about the product. The top 3 are consumers that are on our database that have given us reviews. And really importantly, the last one is the showroom, who really does see this as the next innovation and offering something totally new to the kitchen market in the same way that Cooker did 10 years ago. And importantly, they do see it as an everyday item, not just to be used during entertainment with wine or friends in the evening. So it's part of the whole process of AM to PM in the day for the families. We have endorsements already from key brands. Importantly, part of our strategy moving forward, we want to work with these brands. Some of, especially in the likes of Moët and other major drinks brands. We see key strategic partnerships in really helping the brand awareness for Kaelo. So we want to build on that success. So we're now raising funds to launch a new exciting range that has huge opportunity potential for us. So we're moving from 1 product to 3 variants that you can see here on the right hand side. We have the original variant at the top. We have a flush crown, so therefore it will just be minimal, so it will just look flush with the worktop. And a really exciting development, a lot of feedback from the dealers saying that consumers love our product but only want to see it when they want to use it. So we're creating a new undermount product where literally the worktop will be the lid, and then you create the wow factor when you take the lid off, and you still have the crown and the touch and the whole control element, but only when you have the lid removed from it. So it makes it a lot more versatile. The big news for us though, and this is where Neil Edwards is making massive inroads in supporting us already. The new range will cut our energy consumption of the existing product by 50%. And that's really important for our sustainability element, but it's also very important for our future product roadmap development. And I'll talk to you a little bit in a second about that area. Also, from a profitability, we will increase our gross profit from this year to next year by at least 20%. And the outward years, we see even greater opportunity to improve the manufacturing capabilities and process, which can improve our profitability even further. In addition to the new range, we are also adding 2 new exciting features. So we have the standard mode, which maintains the temperature, which will always be the heart of Kaelo. But we're adding 2 new modes. First of all, those consumers that like red wine at a higher temperature, you'll be able to adjust the touch control on the crown to allow you to have a higher temperature for a red wine setting. Then it may be your bottle isn't quite at the right temperature. So there'll be a boost mode, which will drop the temperature over 30 minutes by about 3 or 4 degrees, and then it will maintain it at that temperature for the life of the bottle. So you can see very quickly, with me coming on board, I wanted us to ensure that we create a new range. If we're going to create a new category, we have to have a range of products to really drive and accelerate the growth. However, that's not just the end of our opportunity. I mentioned to you earlier that we're reducing our energy consumption by 50%. That is a game changer in my view for Kaelo and the potential we have in the market. The reason why it's a game changer is Neil Edwards now believes he can now put a battery on our new range that will last up to 4 or 5 hours, which then suddenly takes our product category to a different dimension. And these are just some of the concepts that Neil and Kevin have already looked at designing. But this then opens up so much more for us very quickly. We can then go into hospitality and have an integrated version, but also offer portable. And maybe we have a different financial model where we look at renting to restaurants and hospitality facilities. Furniture manufacturers. Why can't Kaelo be at the heart of whatever they design as far as entertainment space? And this could open up huge potential for us around the world working with furniture designers. And finally, we know from research that Kaelo, people want it in every room in entertainment element. So portable offers another opportunity. And really exciting for us at Kaelo is we see this can be e-commerce focused. So we have more control then of our distribution, and it means we build a database, we bring lifetime value to a much higher level to our consumers, and that is game changing as far as distribution for us alongside the kitchen market. So you can see the innovation really helps us from developing this one range, we can take it so much further in the future. However, this investment is to give us the foundations we need in the kitchen market, as I said earlier. So let's just talk through our distribution strategy priorities in that kitchen market. First of all, we're being very conservative in our view of the numbers. Yeah, we're only looking at less than 1% in 40 markets up until 2025, which is 37,000 units. But let me put this into perspective. We've just done some consumer research for talking to people in our target audience that were prepared to spend 30K or more on a kitchen. 70% of those consumers said that they would like to buy Kaelo. So we've gone 1%. We know there's a potential there for 70%. So just in this market alone, so much more for us to go for. So where are we now in our distribution and where are we heading? Myself and the team really see this as a two-stage process. In the next period of time, we really want to build next year the right blueprint of the way to take Kaelo to market. UK will be our priority. We want to get to 500 dealers by the end of next year. Our partnership in the USA is critical, and we want to gain learnings in working with them together. And then we're going to trial those markets I mentioned earlier in EU. From that, we will develop a blueprint and we will accelerate our growth from 23 to 25 in the kitchen market to represent Kaelo in over 30 markets. So I mentioned the dealers. I talked about the 500. Our longer term aim is to get to 1,000 active dealers selling Kaelo by 2025. And that represents 20% of the overall market. So that's our focus as we move forward. We're building that sales and marketing team already in place and building on that. And as I mentioned to you earlier, based on that, we can roll out and accelerate the growth rapidly in the coming years. However, UK is our focus, but as I mentioned, overseas is also very important. So a little bit more context about our partnerships moving forward. So Uline approached Kevin in 2019. They are a well-established brand in more of the own brand market in kitchen, residential and commercial in the States. They have the U-Chill as part of their brand, which is made by us. But what's really important for us is they are part of the Middleby Group. Middleby is the biggest kitchen distributor covering the whole of residential and commercial across the whole of North America. 3 billion turnover business, 80% of their business comes from that territory. And their strategy is very much buying into early development brands and buying brands to establish a whole package they can then offer to their customers. Give you an example, they recently purchased Arga, Rangemaster, so they could be a fantastic partner for us to sell the Kaelo brand through Middleby and then Uline in their own proposition to cover the whole territory. And those discussions I've started to have with the guy that heads up Uline, who is also on the board of Middleby. So in the future, this could be a real accelerated growth opportunity for us in a key market. If I then look at Europe, we've handpicked some distributors for our first trial that are already established in the market. They're working with premium brands such as Sub-Zero in these territories. So they know that premium end of the kitchen market, and they really are passionate about seeing the opportunity working with Kaelo. So this becomes a range extension for them. And I think if we can get these markets really building in next year, they already know all the other distributors around the world that sell Sub-Zero, that sell Bora. So it's a natural snowball effect that we will then be introduced to other dealers around the world, which enables us to really accelerate that growth, as I mentioned earlier. Finally, regarding distribution, a really exciting opportunity. I mentioned IWM. They have 70% of the global marine market in refrigeration. They sell under a brand called Isotherm, which again, we are part of that brand proposition made by Kaelo. And we've still really started this year to see the traction in distribution. We've now got boat builders around the world that are specifying our product as part of their portfolio. And that's a really exciting opportunity. And they estimate just with our current product, so not even considering the future roadmap opportunities with this new range and portable, just with the existing standalone product, they believe there's at least 2,500 units just in that market. So where could we take it even further with portable? So in the kitchen market, we have a very clear plan. We see the opportunity in a conservative less than 1% to deliver 12 million by 2025 with an EBITDA of 4.8 million. And our focus is to gain 5,000 active kitchen distribution dealers that are actively selling our product. And then we invest, really starting to build that momentum. You see that in 23 with investments in consumer marketing, which really accelerates the growth that we see in those three outward years. So, as I mentioned, we're looking to raise up to $1 million in this raise, and it's all about accelerating the growth with our new range of products. So we're focused on the fund breakdown. Around 130K will be marketing and distribution next year. Around 250K will be to realize the new investment range and future development opportunities with the first developments of portable. And finally, importantly for me, is investing in the team. We need to build the right team that can really support accelerating the growth potential we have in the future. So it's always important to talk about exit. When I came on board 7 months ago, the board were very clear. They wanted to see value for their shareholders within 5 years. We have very strong ambitions to accelerate the growth of the business above what I've shared with you today in this presentation. And that could take many different formats. One of the key reasons strategically with working with Andrew and the BSA team is we want them to come on a journey with us and help us to plan very carefully how we give value to our shareholders in the coming years. We have a lot of experience on the board, but working with BSA gives us so much more that we can then work on together. So it could be, as an example, we look at going on the AIMS market in the next stage of our development to help accelerate. And that's just one option we're exploring. But importantly, we want to give that value back to shareholders as soon as we can. So, in summary, we are going to build a global category, as we will be the pioneer brand that really leads that in the same way as Hoover did for vacuum. We want to do the same for a new integrated category within the entertainment space. We've already achieved market acceptance in the last 12 months with very little investment. I believe I have a very exciting team to take the business forward. And importantly, we have a new range that we really want to establish ourselves in the kitchen market that adds significant more value. And we have a very clear path in what we can deliver purely from the kitchen market. So thank you for your time, and we really hope that you can join us on this great adventure with Kaelo. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Dave. I mean, it was a very clear and concise presentation, obviously a very exciting new product. I mean, maybe one of the first questions to ask is, if we want to go and buy one, how much is it going to cost us?
So the retail is $996 for our stainless steel crown. And then if you want certain premium crowns, because we do different finishes, there's an incremental retail of an additional £150.
And presumably you've done quite a lot of market research that shows that this is a price point that people find acceptable. I mean, for the category that you're targeting.
Absolutely. We've done a lot of work, and actually early days, Kevin, before I joined, they did some pricing elasticity work where they reduced the price to really see, did that gain real incremental volume, and it had no impact. I think what's important in the kitchen market, especially, people are looking at the total package of entertainment space. So they're spending on average sort of 30 plus upwards, up to 200K on a kitchen, and they want all the latest entertainment elements. And so we see this entertainment unique product is positioned exactly the right price point for this market segment that we currently are involved with.
And also a follow-on question from that is it easy to install? I mean, or is it a complicated procedure? No,
it's very simple to install. At the moment, there's a 3-stage process. Literally, we work with all the fabricators. We also have our own team that can do retrofit, and it's just literally drilling a hole in the worktop, and that can be any type of worktop, and literally the unit just drops in and it screws up, and it's secured underneath, and it just plugs in into a normal socket. So it's a very simple product to install.
Now, you've joined fairly recently, but the company's been in existence for a while, and there's been a few funding rounds before. How much money so far has been raised into the company?
So the pre-money was 4.3 million before this raise. A lot of that investment, Andrew, was early days. I mean, Kevin had to literally, I think, 300 prototypes he had to develop to get the product to where it is now. So there was a lot of investment to fine tune the product, the patent element. So all the investment has gone to getting the technology ready to take to market. And as I mentioned earlier, it's also important for potential investors to realize that technology now, where we can take it into other areas, and it won't need a lot of investment now that the money's already been spent.
And the last round that you did, what sort of valuation was that, and what valuation are you looking for in this round?
Well, what we did in the process, the team just started a raise. So we were always looking to raise 1.8 million, starting from the end of last year. And they then put together a presentation very much around the existing products. I joined, and that first round, we raised 500,000 through private investors, a lot of them the existing shareholders, the new management team. So everybody in that slide you saw is investing, including myself, to ensure that we're part of that long-term plan. And then we did a crowdfund to really give us some awareness of the brand. So we've raised 815K at the moment. And what do we wanted to do? I came on board then and I restructured it to say, no, we need a new range. So what we're doing now, Andrew, is that we want to give more value to new shareholders and existing shareholders. So we're keeping the price the same as it was in that first raise. So it's $3.25 a share, but there's a lot more value that we're adding into that, and the potential is significant. And that will then give us the full evaluation that we're looking to achieve around the 1.8 million.
Okay, so it's 325 per share, but just to help all listeners, you could tell us how many shares are in issue and we can work it out, but what is the pre-money valuation?
So the pre-money valuation before the 1.8 was 4.3, and it's 6.1 based on the 1.8 raise.
So actually, in fairness, with all the money you've raised in the past, it's not a huge premium from the money that's been raised in the past, which makes it look a very attractive deal. And actually, again, I'm not saying this is right, but or wrong, but often people value companies nowadays on multiples of revenue. If you get to obviously, 12 million of revenue and put a multiple of 5 times, that could be 60 million market cap valuation. So, this could be a 10 bagger, which is really why it's so exciting. And of course, as you say, you've got EIS, so there are some very interesting and useful tax savings for anybody coming into this.
Yeah, and I think, just to emphasize again, the technology that the investment has been put into can now scale into so many different channels without significant product development cost, because of the time that Kevin took to develop the core technology. So it's almost, we want it to be the Intel version, and we can put it into so many different applications now. And that's what's exciting for myself and the team as well.
And maybe one other question. You've obviously got these fantastic guys from Dyson coming onto your board.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a huge tick in the box, but also at the same time, has Dyson looked at you or anybody like that and said, why don't we put the money in? I mean, how is that all sort of panning out? Or is it just still early days for them getting to know the product, and there's an opportunity perhaps before that happens?
Yeah, I think it's, as you say, it's probably an early, this next stage. I think once we get the foundations from this, having a whole range, I think big brands will then start to potentially talk to me. I've worked in my career so far and have good contacts with Bosch Siemens, Electrolux, obviously Haier, all the major brands around the world. And once we start to develop the category, I think, this is a natural potential fit for one of the major brands. So, that could definitely be a route to market, Andrew, that we not only potentially from an exit, but also joint venture. There's different continents we could work with, different big brands, and just literally ride on the back of their distribution and their infrastructure. So that could be a really exciting opportunity for us as well.
And one final question, maybe. Obviously, we know that house building in general is growing very rapidly at the moment, and certainly the high-end house building is growing very rapidly. But is there a seasonal element of this at all? I mean, or is it an all-year-round product?
It's an all-year-round product, but in the kitchen market, you do see some peaks. I mean, everybody wants their new kitchen before Christmas, so you tend to see a momentum in that last quarter, and more of maybe the lower end of the kitchen market is very much Jan sale. It's very much part of that process. But we actually see, with the momentum we've got with the market acceptance, I don't think there'll be huge amounts of seasonality for us. I think we'll see a really consistent approach in the kitchen market for us, which is also good to manage from a cash flow perspective.
Okay, well, look, I think that's been a very interesting introduction to the company. Obviously, if anybody listening to this wants to know more information about Kaelo, then please contact your usual contact at VSA Capital, or do email ipo@vsacapital.com, and we'll obviously get back to you with any answers to questions or further information. And obviously, we're keen to obviously wrap up the process as quickly as possible so that Dave can get on and spend the money and invest it and grow the brand. But we'll be open for a little while, I think. So if people want to come and subscribe, then you've got a little bit of time. But Dave, thank you very much for that. And I'm sure that you'll get lots of interest, because this is such an exciting product.
Right. Thank you very much. Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you.